Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyped to announce tonight's guest. I am joined by Rexx Heartless. Dude, how are we doing? You good?
I'm good myself. How are you, sir?
Mate, I am 5x5, too blessed to be stressed. So, looking forward to the chat. You know me, I'm always eager and excitable when I get somebody from Pursuit on. So I think I've spoken to one or two of you guys over the course of the time now, so I'm kind of getting familiar with the place and what you guys are up to. So, but no, mate, I'm always happy to get a Pursuit person on, hype it up. I just think, I haven't spoken to somebody from Pursuit who isn't just, awesome and great and just loves wrestling, and which is, why you do what you do.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, 100%.
So that being said, let's get the generic question out of the way. I've just talked about loving wrestling. You got to love wrestling to step through those doors in the first place. So what kind of made you decide? That's what you want to do. You want people to put you on.
Well, this is a funny one. Obviously, your standard story. Into it as a young'un, same as everybody else. Then I discovered girls, and my love for wrestling faded when I found other interests. But then probably about 16, 17, we got the free cable, free Sky, which had Wrestling Channel on. And you've probably heard this story 1,000 times. TNA, Ring of Honor, Old World of Sport, a lot of UK indie shows was shown on it. I picked back up my love of wrestling from that. Started going to 1PW shows and other indie shows that were not knocking about in Yorkshire. I kind of then dipped in and out on it. And then, what were it? I played ice hockey for about 15 years as a goalie. God. My knees turned to absolute sand. They were non-existent. So it comes to a point where I was playing 5 hours on a Sunday, and then starting to feel all right by Thursday or Friday, and then it were all having to come round again Sunday. So it got to that point where I said, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. So packed my pads away, never to be seen again. And I started getting a little bit antsy, and my wife was saying, you need something else to do. You need something else to do. At this point, I didn't have any bands or musical projects or going on. So then she said, why don't you try wrestling? Like, no. I'm not bothered. I'll have to start going at gym and can't be bothered with all that dedication. And she said, just have a look. Just have a bit of a research. So obviously, being a little bit curious, straight onto Google, Pursuit, what first place that come up. I thought, this looks like a good facility. And then she said, well, do it then. I said, well, no, it's expensive and all this. She went, well, I'll pay for beginner's course. If you like it, carry on. If you don't like it, then you can say you've tried it. I'm like, no. Yeah, go on then. So it was basically my wife that forced me into it. And I've not looked back, really. Through the multiple injuries, I've still kept going back for punishment. And every time I get injured, she's only got herself to blame.
Dude, I think you're one of the few people that I could probably say this to. Then, if you've been a goalie in ice hockey, mate, like taking bumps in wrestling must just be like a walk in the park by comparison.
Yeah. Them 90-mile-an-hour pucks, even though you're covered in padding, they're still hurt. They always manage to find them little creases in your armour.
Yep.
Yeah.
Find that down.
Not nice. Not nice.
Mate, as soon as you said ice hockey, I was just like, geez, like I'm just envisioning just the bruises, the pain, like I said.
Yeah.
Well,
I've always been an idiot.
You mentioned like musical stuff there as well, though. So obviously, I presume not, you're in a band or in various bands performing in front of people. So again, with the ice hockey thing and the music side, being in front of an audience is nothing new.
No, not at all. No. I think my first band was 2004, 2005. So 20, maybe 21 years I've been performing. So it's water off a duck's back at this point.
Because I know that's well, again, from speaking to people or being on this side of the curtain, just thinking about if I was doing it, that would be a massive factor. Just like that first time when you're stepping out in front of people or having all eyes on you. It'd be quite easy just to kind of shrink. Under
Well,
pressure.
the difference is with a band, I've got 4 other people behind me, so there is a little bit of the limelight took off me doing band stuff. But I've done rap stuff before when it's only just me, but that didn't faze me either, because at that point I'd been doing band for 15 years at that point, so
Nice.
didn't really faze me.
Nice. Well, I can put you into the category of a few other people that I've spoken to that have come from a musical background and kind of been able to take that sort of showmanship, being on the stage and transferring it over. Like Isaac North, I think Franco was another guy. Just being able to be like, it is what it is. I'll just turn on the showman and
yeah.
So obviously, you mentioned, like you said, the wrestling channel. I'm of similar sort of knowledge when it comes, like say TNA back in the day. Go to when you said 1PW, I presume that was the original incarnation as well at the Dome. When AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and all those guys were there.
Yeah. When Pac used to be really skinny.
Yeah.
Before he put all his meat on. Yeah,
Skinny Pac. That match, I don't know if he was there, but when he leveled up against AJ Styles.
That's one of my favourite matches of all time. That first anniversary show.
Yeah.
At Doncaster Dome. Yeah.
Oh mate, that's crazy. But so obviously that's the thing though. You were a fan then before you kind of got into it. Because that's another thing that kind of always intrigues me. When people get into wrestling, is do you go into it with the kind of the mindset of being, I want to be this kind of a worker, or I kind of really like this person, so I kind of want to work the same sort of style as them. Did you go in, like obviously being, you big boy, did you go into, that he was going to just work like a big man style, or did you kind of go in and think, we'll see what fits?
Well, it was a tricky one. I went in as a blank slate. I know I really enjoyed a lot of Bryan Danielson's work, a lot of tech stuff. And then when I started trying to learn that stuff, I was like, nah, this might not be for me. So then, it has turned into more a big man, let's shout at people sort of vibe. Yeah.
Dude, it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, like so I think, just from experience talking to various other people, you're kind of in like one of the best places, creativity wise, where you, like say, if you go in with a blank slate, mate, you can go and experiment, you can go and see what fits, what works, what doesn't work, and there's plenty of people to talk to, and bounce ideas off of.
Oh, absolutely. And because of my shift, I start work at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is an absolute killer, but it leaves me very, very sporadic of when I can do my sessions. So I can only really do the pursuit sessions on a Thursday afternoon and a Saturday morning. But luckily, the Thursday afternoon is an open ring session. So if I've got any ideas, I can go into that open ring, talk through it all, work through it all, figure out the psychology to everything to then be able to put it into practice. So it kind of worked out in my favour a little bit. Because I know they do one on a Tuesday evening, but if they didn't do that one, then I probably wouldn't be able to get to these open ring sessions, which for me, after doing a coach session on a Saturday, I'll walk away, take some ideas away, and thinking, oh yeah, maybe I could work this. Think about it through the week, and then come in on a Thursday and try what I've thought.
Nice. Do you have any sort of favourite people to just throw around You know, it feels a little bit more satisfying just to try new stuff out.
Matty Carter's a good one because he weighs a packet of peanuts and a fag paper. So yeah, Matty Carter takes a bit of a battering because on a Thursday afternoon he's one of the guys that's more than happy to step in and go, yeah, I'll try that with you. I'll try that with you. Not just for me, but for everybody. Yeah. So it's nice to have a crash test dummy that's willing to. But he's already young as well, so he bounces, no breaks. Like me, I'm 38-year-old, so I don't tend to bounce as much as these young kids. So I've got to be a bit safer in what I'm doing.
So how long have you? Because obviously I'm kind of looking through. I'm sort of seeing, you know, like last couple of years. So is it kind of? I don't know an official start date, or you know, what would it be safe to sort of say you've been doing it for a couple of years?
February 2022 was when I did my beginner's course. So there's 6 weeks from that, and then in my first proper session after my beginner's course, I went to take a hip toss and broke my shoulder because I didn't post to go over. So I went straight up, straight down, broke my shoulder. So I thought this is a very, very good start. So I went out of action for about 12 weeks with that. My wife said I couldn't go back until I got income protection insurance, so I didn't lose any wages if I broke any more bones, which were an absolutely fantastic idea. Because 4 weeks after coming back from injury, I tore my hamstring, which left me out again for another 10, 11 weeks. And then I come back after that, and then I had about 6 weeks and tore out ligaments in my other shoulder. So I have took a lot of time off. I think I'm just about balancing out the time that I've wrestled to the time that I've had off through injury.
That's but I should say, you know, the reason I was asking is, as you sort of said there, you know, like 38, because obviously, you know, we've had Jim McGuire on, you know, after yourself kind of thing. But I do kind of think there's a certain point, you know, there's a certain age. It might like be mid-20s, you know, I don't know, or 31 at a push, where, you know, common sense just kind of kicks in, and it's just like, you want me to throw myself backwards? Why? You know, you want me to?
Well, you know, common sense is not that common anymore, dude. Especially for this guy.
I know, obviously, like when I was speaking to Jim about it, it was kind of having to. It was sort of, you know, it was just getting that kind of. So they're taking those first few steps and just like, yeah, just taking a bump. You know, it was just getting your body to realize, like, okay, right, we can do this, and you know, I'm not going to break. You know, it's just everything inside you. Like I use it as an example when I was talking to Jim, kind of thing. You know, something as basic as doing a forward roll. You know, most kids and obviously wrestlers kind of just do that as, you know, it's second nature. Kind of like, you know, I was trying to teach my son how to do a forward roll. I was like, piece of piss, mate, I can do it. I obviously didn't say that to him, but I was like, in my head, I was like, piece of piss. You know, I can do this. No, it was kind of like, took me 5 minutes to just kind of do one, and I was like, in my head, I was like, no, why are you doing this to yourself? You know, what's the logic? But yeah, I just think, you know, obviously you kind of lose that fearlessness. So I just wondered if, you know, if you kind of had the same kind of, you know, just hesitation a little bit. But I suppose with the ice hockey thing, it's just like, you know, what's pain?
No, I had absolutely no hesitation whatsoever. I was just happy to be there, happy to be involved. I couldn't believe that I was actually training to be a wrestler. So as soon as I said, right, do a bump, I went it. That's it, straight down. Move that mat. Let's get it on ring. No fears whatsoever. I was trying like I wasn't snapping back bumps. I was trying to jump as high as I could to take a back bump. I was just so happy to be involved.
Mate, that's awesome. Top rope, obviously, you know, doing like climbing the turnbuckles, jump coming from the top, you know, just all that kind of sort of stuff. Just bring it on. Let's see what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely, yeah. But the thing is, for a guy of my size, I mean, I love doing a low down off at top, a big D-low frog splash. But if I landed that on somebody, they'd not move again. So that's why you tend not to see me doing stuff like that.
I just imagine you doing, like, you know, the cane clothesline or something. It's something very just about the big man coming off the top. It's just it pops kind of thing. Like, so then it's
it's funny you should say that. It's funny you should say that because I've been toying with a new gimmick of a luchador, like a really a really, really terrible luchador. So just failing everything at the beginning of match. I run it in an in-house show with Matthias last month. He's called Ron Mastrio. Obviously, a little nod to Santino Marella with his Mastrio. Obviously, I'm a Yorkshire door, so I think Ron was the ideal first name for that. So yeah, he started off as just failing everything, trying luchador, and then come back, a nice handspring back elbow, crossbody off at turning crossbody off at second. Ain't quite nice, but I felt sorry for Matthias because I landed a little bit heavy on him, if I'm honest. But it's something that could come back out again sporadically because it was really fun. Being a comedy gimmick, I really enjoyed that, but it didn't have the same satisfaction as what Rexx Heartless does.
Just smash mouth. I was going to say though, with the luchador thing, have a word with Ellis. I think he's mates with Mega Calibre. He might be able to teach you a few things.
Yeah. That's not what I want though. I want it to be crap because that's the whole gimmick.
Yeah, but it's like again, like they sort of say, like I know again, I'm going old school here, sort of like tapping into when I was a kid and I used to get shown stuff. Les Dawson, like old school comedian, when he used to play the piano, but he used to play it wrong. Where he's like, you've got to learn to do it right.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
To be able to do it
you've got your international spots what starts your matches. Obviously, they're going to have standard spots like that in Lucha. So to learn them and to make a mess of them is something that I have spoken about. But yeah, it's something that I will keep tapping into at training. And when I feel ready, they'll come back out again and then get put back in cupboard for another 6-8 months and then they'll make an appearance. But it's just nice to have something different in back pocket if I approach a promotion and say, oh, I'd like to work for you. I'm this character. Oh, no, we've got a big, scaredy, sharty, throwing man. Well, I've got this character as well. Here's a bit of comic relief if you want that. You want to get a heel over? Yeah, I'll up on your card. I'll do your first match. You can absolutely run me over. That's absolutely fine. Just put me on your card.
Mate, that's awesome. That is a great mind logic kind of just being like I say, it's just making it more diverse. It's opening up the appeal. Like it's what I said, you're not just limiting yourself just to that one, as you put it, big shouty man. You can offer a promotion, a few different things.
Yeah. It opens a few more doors, but it also made me delve more into like luchador stuff, which kind of re-sparked me enjoyment of wrestling. Because I've been watching loads of WWE since it's come on Netflix. I'm not really that bothered about it. It just seen same matches all the time, see same faces. So it was nice to see a different style of match, a faster pace. Some different sort of movesets, some imaginative things as well. Like innovative, high-flying stuff. It did get me quite excited. But I looking at it and going, "Oh, look at that! I couldn't do that off the top rope. No."
Yeah. But that to me, just obviously, I'm not Jake. I'm not sort of telling him what to book or anything. But that kind of a character, mate, that would work awesome on like Planet or something. I can imagine that kind of a luchador.
Yeah.
The kids would pop for it and just be like, you'd end up getting over as like a baby face, like everybody, going on a losing streak, and then at some point, you eventually win a match, just like,
yeah. There is a few more ideas it works for him, but obviously it needs a lot of polishing. But with a lot of these shows I've got coming up as Rexx, I'm prioritising obviously the Rexx stuff more than the Ron stuff. Because obviously that's where my bread's buttered. That's where my money's coming from. So,
oh no, definitely, yeah, no, I get that. It's just like I say, it's just nice to have that on the back burner if you want to just refreshing it a little bit. It keeps you excited, keeps you interested. It's a bit like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Go and talk us through these. If you can, let us know what you can. Anything you've got, coming up, or obviously we talked. I know. I should have checked the date. I don't know if it's happened yet. If it's happening at the next show, but I know yourself and Madden had a street fight or something along those lines, a hardcore style match recently, or it's about to happen.
Yeah.
It's happened.
The last month, we had a grudge match Yes, that's a very good point. I can't remember that date. That grudge match
Friday,
was about 2 weeks ago.
it was Friday the 13th, wasn't it?
Friday the 13th, unlucky for some, yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't I remember that? Such a memorable day, and it just completely blanked on it. Yeah, it's led us into a trilogy match, Last Man Standing, which is the 15th of August, New Lodge Club for Super Pro Wrestling. I don't know whether I'm looking forward to that match or not, because some of the spots we got planned, I don't think I'm going to be my friend after.
Yeah. Last Man Standing as well, though, mate. They're not common match types. I saw one recently, at True Grit. But in all honesty, I think that's probably that was probably the first Last Man Standing match I can remember seeing, in the last several years, kind of thing. So they're not a commonplace match type. So it must be kind of exciting.
It is, yeah. But I think the issue that we've had is we had our first match as a street fight. So we are a cage. Where do you escalate?
Yeah.
How do you escalate? Obviously, we can't have a cage because we're in a low ceiling working men's club. So that automatically takes ladder match out as well. So where do you go from there? So we've had to get a bit creative.
Well, yeah, make Last Man Standing. That's a great shout. I love that as a feud ender kind of thing. Like I said, traditionally, the cage match is what you kind of think of as like, well, back in the day, it used to be if somebody had a cage match, that was it, end of feud, job's done, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, sort of Last Man Standing works. Anything that's kind of hard hitting or extreme, or just the whole definition of, like, say, you've beaten somebody up so much that they can't get up after 10 seconds. That's it. Feud's done. You've won.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I'll be excited.
He won the first match. It was a double DQ on the second match. So if I win this ties it up. Ooh. Which, where do you go from there? Do you leave it as is, or do you do a fourth? But I think four might be too many, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, even if technically if you win this and you tie it up, dude, you won the Last Man Standing match. That's like two matches. That counts as two matches. That's like a shiny. When you're swapping stickers, it's like
I'll take that all day long. Yeah. Makes sense.
Exactly. So, but that's if you win. Obviously, I'm hoping up saying like if you don't win, it don't count. Get another one. I don't know. Just claim shenanigans.
What shenanigans can you claim in a Last Man Standing? It's no DQ, no count outs.
I don't know. There's always a loophole, dude. There's always a loophole. If you lose, there's always there can always be a reason why.
I'm sure I can find something if I do lose.
There you go. But obviously, that's Super Pro. Obviously, your feud with Madden that's going on there. Kmart obviously is, you have a belt, you have a title, you're walking around tall and proud. Again, there seems to be two mindsets with belts. Some people think of them as just a prop in the story. Other people think, for me personally, I think of a belt as like a promotion. Somebody has sort of said, it's a reward. Like, I can see how hard you're working. I can see how good you are. Here's our acknowledgement of, just how awesome you are. Here's a belt. That's how I see them.
Well, yeah, I suppose it is. But this Barnsley Championship that I won in Kmart can be defended anywhere in any promotion, as long as I don't lose it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's come from Kmart. They had their first show, and I put myself forward and said, "Oh, I'm from Barnsley. I'd like to come and work for you. Here's my CV, basically." He said, "Right, okay, show's booked up, but come down and help the ring crew and we'll have a chat." So I said, "Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, I'll come down and help out. Venue's 15 minutes from my house. No skin off my nose." And then I was at work and I got a message at dinner time and he said, "Can you fill in? Somebody's pulled out." So yeah, of course I can. I was fetching my gear anyway, just in case. So I said, "Yeah, of course I can." And he said, "Well, it's in a tournament to be #1 contender. Said, yeah, that's fine. You'll be replacing main guy. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm thinking, oh, well, I'll be #1 contender. And then he went, you'll be wrestling 3 matches. And he went, I said, oh dear. This sounds like a lot for my first show. so then I was driving back to Barnsley. I think I was in Grantham and my tyre blew in wagon. So this is not good. So obviously I had to pull over at the side of the road, wait to be recovered, have my tyre changed. I didn't get back in house while about 3 o'clock. So I literally dropped my bags, got changed, went to the show. By the time first bell started, I'd been up since 2:30. I had eyes in back of my head. I didn't know what were going on, and I had to wrestle 3 matches. But I got through it. I got through it. I didn't tell with ring pack down, I'll tell you that, but I got through it. I definitely earned me money that night.
Dude, there you go. That's obviously, you proved a point. You kind of made yourself invaluable in the sense. Like I said, when somebody puts up, when a promotion puts a belt on you, that kind of, like I say, that to me just is an acknowledgement of, like, we kind of see something in you, and you are representing. Yeah. You're representing this promotion. They're not going to put that on anyone. So dude, you obviously made a great first impression.
All it takes for me in Barnsley to get over with the crowd is just to come out of them curtains and scream "Thou what," and everybody loves me. All these little kids, they've got the wrestler bashers. It's just so easy because I'm from Barnsley. If they announce I'm from Barnsley, I don't even have to come out of the curtain. It is that easy. With these kind of working men's club shows, I just have to be announced as from Barnsley, and I'm the guy. And obviously, I bring a lot. Me and Madden, when we're on these shows, we bring a lot of people to these shows as well. Obviously, because we're local, got lots of friends that are old enough to come and have a drink. They'll spend the money behind bar. So bar's happy, promoters are happy because they're selling tickets, they're selling beer. Why would you not book us?
Makes sense. Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's again, that's another box to be ticked. I sort of been speaking to, there's so much more to sort of getting bookings than just what you can do in the ring. I keep finding this out. I keep hearing about, it's about networking. It's about being in the right place at the right time. But it's also about that, like you sort of said, if you put somebody on your show that are going to pull in an audience, and that audience is going to spend money, fuck yeah, why would you not book that person?
Oh, absolutely. You'd be daft not to.
So, mate, that's awesome. So that's obviously, like I said, with the whole Super Pro thing going on. Sorry, mate, my cat's just causing chaos. Sorry, off the train of thought. But yeah, so you was all about, like, the whole, I think with the Barnsley crowd, working face there. It's just you're coming out, you're getting that reaction, everybody's sort of popping for you. Do you have a preference? I always ask this of everyone who's, still kind of, first few years of the journey, face or heel. Do you have a preference as to what you work?
My original thought was to be a heel because I'll be throwing people around. I'm a big, shouty, ginger bearded guy, but when I spoke to Liam when I was doing my first show, he went, "You're gonna have to be a face. There's no way you can be a heel." And he's right. I can't do it. And I could never do it in Barnsley. As much as I want to, because it's a lot easier for me to work a heel because I can slow pace right down. I'm old. I don't want to be running off the ropes all the time. Nah, I'm too old and fat for that. So I think a heel would suit me better, but I don't think I could be a heel even if I tried. It'd take a lot.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, you kind of you associate, the face with getting the sympathy, being the underdog, and all that kind of sort of stuff. But there are, if you know how to do it, which obviously you do, you can get over quite easily as a face, being the bigger guy. You just have to kind of, I suppose, work the audience more. You can kind of keep it as a slow pace, but as you sort of said, you just work the audience, you get them behind you, and get that. Obviously, you're not working on sympathy. You're not working on being the underdog. You're just working on having that connection with the fans.
Yeah. But I suppose psychology-wise, it takes a lot for me. It takes something dirty for me to be in pain to then get that sympathy. It can't just be a little cut off to get sympathy from a crowd. Because like, look at this guy. He's just took a forearm off a smaller guy than him. That's not going to work. So it has to be something dirty.
That's it. Because I remember, like, speaking to Kemper, and he was sort of saying, like, it took him a while to figure out you've got to protect your size. You can't you can't be bumping for everybody straight away, kind of thing. Whether you're heel or face, kind of thing. You've got to protect your image. You've got to be, and it means something. Then, like I said, when somebody knocks you down, it's like, oh shit, Rexx is, he's knocked Rexx off his feet. Damn, right, okay, that's impressive.
Oh, absolutely. But there is guys a lot bigger than me, but not that I've come into contact with yet. I'm not exactly Kemper size, but I'm a meaty boy.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, you're still a big guy in regards to sort of the average for British wrestling. You're still kind of height wise, structure wise. You definitely, you're not somebody I'd be like, oh shit, I don't want to fuck with that guy. He's a scary, scary man. Whether he's face or heel, I'm still fucking scared. Yeah. I'm not messing with him. But again, like I said, it just works really well. Like I said, yeah, you as face, but I think, like I said, if you step out of Barnsley, I think once you start building that momentum, your bookings start to expand, your radius of bookings expands. Yeah, you get out of Barnsley, you get out of Yorkshire even.
Yeah.
I think then you can kind of be like, right, now I get to work here, or now I get to have some fun.
Yeah, well, my original, I do actually think I worked a show before Kamer for New British Promotions. And I thought, I've heard a lot of bad things about the guy who runs it. And I thought, I'll do it because it's in Barnsley. It's 10 minutes away from my house. And I want to see how my character works in an audience that doesn't know me.
Yeah.
And I instantly come out at curtain, scream, "That what?" And I was like, well, that's not worked. Because that's not worked at all.
It's like, yeah, no, they love me. Ah, oh, damn it. Why am I so why am I so popular, man? Damn. It's a burden.
Yeah.
To be so lovable. But yeah, you mentioned, I mean, I've got to ask as well, obviously, like you said, they came all the bookings and stuff. I'm always intrigued by, like when you're at training and you're working the in-house shows and everything like that, obviously you kind of got that safety net, everything's kind of like, everybody. But when you get that first booking, out of house, away from the sort of the school, that must be a buzz. That must just be like, hey, somebody knows who I am for a start. Somebody's willing to pay me money, and somebody's willing to give me a slot on the show.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's a nice feeling. But it's one of them. My first show was against Madden, which I felt quite comfortable with because obviously we worked a lot in training. So his moveset and my moveset were second nature. So I didn't really have to think about what I was doing. It was then when I started working John Allens and Tommy Rocker and Tiger McGuigan that I thought, I'm going in blind. I don't know the spots. I don't know like their signature moves and stuff like that. But they've been in game a long time, so they were a really good help calling through matches as we were going. Because I got to a point where these new guys, I was getting in a bit of a tiz because I was like, oh, what if I don't remember spots? What if I don't remember spots? Yeah. We talked match over quite a lot, and I'm sat backstage thinking to myself, right, it's this, and this. And then I've even spoke to Liam about it, and I said, my memory in matches is shocking. He says, you're thinking about it too much. Break it down into little sections rather than move by move. And ever since that conversation, it has got a lot easier to piece these matches back together, which has been a massive help. We had a session with Jim Smallman a few months ago, and he was saying that a lot of memory and forgetting things is your cardio, because when you're blowing out your ass, your brain's not getting oxygen it needs, so you can't think. So I'm like, right, I need to step my cardio game up, and I have done, and that's helped massively as well.
that's the thing as well. I guess as well, you know, it just comes with confidence. It just comes with experience. Like sort of said, you know, once you build that experience up, that confidence, it's just going to become more like it's just going to become second nature. But
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, until you get there, obviously, yeah, you know, the list of guys that you've just mentioned, you know, they're experienced hands. You know, they can sort of guide the way. But yeah, that must have been weird. Like you say, if I'm going working with Madden, who you kind of know on a weekly basis, to
Yeah.
working with these guys and kind of like, you know, meeting them and then sitting backstage at shows, just kind of like, yeah, being out of that safety zone. That's what it is. It's a safety zone. It's, you know,
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a bit of a tricky one to get over at first, but we got there.
Exactly. You know, you did it. You got through it. Obviously, you know, the matches smashed it. You know, I presume obviously, you know, you've worked for the promotion again since, or, you know, the same promotion over and over again.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
again, you know, you're making the impression, you're doing the job, and people are like, yeah, all right, cool. We like this guy. Let's bring him back again. Again, you know, people are paying you money to. I can't. I think it's weird for people to kind of understand, and I still don't, you know, totally get it. But you know, like sort of fancy booking, I'm saying, oh, I want to see this person on this show. I want to see this person on this show. It's like there's only so many slots on any given show. There's only, you know, and there's so much talent out there. I think anybody who gets booked should be crazy proud of themselves because there's so many people out there that are training, you know, that have got a high level of being able to do what they do. Yet you're the one who's got booked. You know,
Yeah,
that makes
absolutely. I
sense.
mean, yeah, Nathan, we've spoke with Nathan about this before, and he said wrestling's one of them things where you're at somebody's mercy of whether you can wrestle or not. If you want to be a skateboarder, you can get a skateboard, find a skate park, and you're skating. If you want to go play golf, you get a club and a ball, you can go play golf. But to be on shows, you've got somebody going, yes, no, and there's no way around that unless you are booking your own shows to put yourself on them shows. So yeah, it is a nice feeling when I'm getting chosen over other people. But because with the amount of training schools that are flying up these days, and the boom of the scene as it is now, it's getting massive again. It's back to 2016 sort of standards when 1PW were massive. It's getting back to them sorts of levels of popularity again. But I think a lot of that has come down to accessibility of schools, streaming services, all of this stuff. It's having a big resurgence, which is very nice to see. But it's not good when you're trying to get booked because you've got so much competition.
That's it. You know, I always sort of say, you know, it's become a bit of a cliche, but you know, you're never more than 15 minutes away from a show or a school, or you're never more than 30 minutes away from a good show or a good school kind of thing. You know, it's like I say, it's just so much wealth. The talent, the pool of talent out there is so fucking deep. You know, you could sink the Titanic in it. It's just that big at the minute. It's crazy. But yeah, that's why I sort of say, you know, it means something when you get a booking because promoters aren't short of people to pick from.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons why I put so much thought and effort into my promos, because they make me stand out, because there's nobody doing what I do with promos. It gets eyes on.
I love that logic as well, though, because that's the thing. That's the difference for me for British wrestling now. Like you sort of said, though, because of the accessibility of it, or because of like YouTube and social media and stuff like that. I don't know. 10 years ago, promos, mic skills weren't key. You know, it wasn't something people focused on, or they didn't really have to.
Yeah, yeah.
But obviously now, mate, yeah, you got to be able to cut a promo for me. You got to be able to. You know, that's nearly as important as to, you know, what you can do in the ring, in the sense of, you know, it's a character. It's what the fans connect with. It's what gets eyes on you that could potentially lead, you know, to a booking. Is what you do on the microphone. So yeah, it's cool to know that you know, that's an element of it that you're really comfortable with.
I do enjoy doing them as well, because obviously there's a lot of comedy elements to it, which I really enjoy. Because I sit like this all day behind the steering wheel, and my brain shuts off. I'm like, what can I do to keep me saying, oh, this is a good promo idea, this is a good promo idea? And then I'll go into a promo with like the skeletal structure of what I want to do. And a lot of the lines are just freestyled off at top of my head. Like, oh, that works. I'll do it again. I'll keep that line, but I'll change this line. So a lot of it comes just improv.
That's awesome. Like I say, yeah, improv, trial and error, see what works, what doesn't work. And again, I'll go back to the whole pursuit thing. You're in a great place where you can like. There's a lot of people that have got great characters or promo skills, at pursuit that you can bounce ideas off of, see what works, what doesn't work. But also, you got Axel, guys like that who are just like totally 100% over as characters, and it's just
Oh, absolutely. It's whenever I film a promo and I'm happy with it, I'll send it to Nathan and say, "What do you think to this?" And he'll go, "Yeah, that's cool," but and then it'll get changed again, and it'll get changed again, and it'll get changed again. It'll not go out until I'm happy with it. I think there's only one promo that I didn't send to Nathan, which was the one where I'm calling Madden out when I'm in this beautiful fortress of solitude, and my mum shouts me that my tea's ready. I think that's the only one I didn't run past Nathan. But for me, that would just I need to do a promo. This might be all right. So I'll put it out for laugh, and then it got a lot of good feedback, even though it was just a throwaway idea.
But it's something, like I said with the whole, your tea's ready kind of thing. That's just, it's not expected. People watching being like, oh shit, big scary man. And then, you just hear that and it's like, yeah. Fucking hell. So, but it just, again, that's the kind of things, that the fans, pay an interest in. That's what amuses us, or that's what makes us, pay attention. So, yeah, mate, that was awesome.
It kind of makes you relatable as well, because everybody's got a man who always a little bit overbearing or a little bit fussy about things. So obviously, with me being Mama's big, strong base, she features heavily quite a lot off camera, which is where that she wants it. If I'm honest,
she doesn't want the limelight. No, that's fine. It's your limelight. It's your camera spot. But yeah, she's still involved.
She's still involved. Yeah. And I think she always will be.
I've just got images now, like Shelton or something. When Shelton Benjamin, when he used to come out with his mama. It's like, no, don't need that. But yeah, it's just stuff like that. Like I said, I can't, say how important. Again, this is my kind of soapbox. I kind of, once I get on this, when it comes to like social media, and I just don't get why people don't use it more to promote their brands, because that's what you guys are. You're a brand, like you sort of said.
Oh yeah.
You try to get that exposure. You try to get those bookings. You've got this platform that's free, mate. If it's done right, you can get 100,000. I mean, fuck, mate. You've seen you're at Pursuit. You know what Nathan's doing with the reels. Some of those reels get millions of views. That's
absolutely nuts. Yeah. I think I do think I'm going to be filming a music video in Pursuit. I had a crazy idea last week. So I ain't made any rap music in a while. So I made a rap song about wrestling. And this would have thought on Monday morning, and by the end of Monday, it was wrote, recorded, done. And I'm like, right, I need to make a video for this. So I think there's a possibility that there'll be one done in PPW.
Oh, mate, that'd be amazing. I'm so hyped. Oh, dude, yeah, you have to let me know if that does get done. As soon as that drops, I need to see this. That would be. Hopefully, though, you don't piss off the music man. You're not stepping on his toes.
Oh no! I'd never do that.
That is a match I'd like to see, though. You're two big boys. I'd like to sort of think you and the music man could make sweet music together.
Oh, absolutely. That's something that I think I would enjoy as well, if I'm honest. I have been pushing Super Pro Wrestling to book Music Man to host a show, but they don't seem to be biting for some reason.
He needs to be more places. I know he's a busy man anyway, so I know it's fitting things in. But yeah, I think it's criminal that he's not on more.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think if it didn't have his tribute stuff, I think he would be a lot more places. But what you're going to do? Are you going to take peanuts at a wrestling show or big bucks somewhere else?
Exactly. Oh, no, that's it. You know, he's a man of many talents, and obviously, as long as he's getting paid for one of those talents at any given point, jobs are
Oh,
good and kind
absolutely.
of thing. But as a wrestling fan, obviously, yeah, you know, I'd like to see him on wrestling shows. But dude's got to get paid.
100% I would as well. Yeah, absolutely.
You got to get paid. You got to get paid. That's it. So yeah, and just as it go forward. So you know, you got like the Super Pro stuff. Like I said, man, I'm just hoping, like I said, you know, you're getting eyes on what you're doing, you're getting yourself out there, you're doing these promo things. You know, this rap video would be like major to getting eyes on. You kind of, can you imagine though? Like, obviously, you're dropping this video. If like if a promoter sees it, and just like, you know, that's, you know, then they bring you in and be like, right, we want to tweak your character a little bit. You know, we want you to come out, John Cena, that shit. You know, come out busting like, you know, Ryan. How open are you to like? Because obviously the character is set. You know, Rexx Heartless is Rexx Heartless.
Yeah.
But I know when certain promoters like to pro wrestling for you. You know, they'll book a talent, but then they like to make their character that talent unique to that one promotion. They'll change it somehow, or they'll ask them to work a little bit different so they stands out.
I think for me, because obviously you've got Darius and John Cena that have done this rap stuff, it's been done. So I don't know how convinced I would be to do that. If they brought me in and said, "Oh, can you do a rap promo?" That'd be different because I'm not using it as part of my gimmick. I'm using it as a promo. So I'd be more inclined to do that. The Rexx Heartless character is not like set. It has to be this. But for me to lean into using rap in my character in ring, I'm not too sure I'd be happy to push that way because it's been done. It's not original. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm taking from other people's pots, and I don't think I'd like to do that.
That's what I'm just thinking. I could just think, you know, if maybe a promoter sees that and knows it's been done or knows it's successful elsewhere, and they then see you and they're like, haha, this is somebody that can do it for us. But like I said, the rapping a promo is a good counterbalance. I think if somebody approached you with that as an ask, you know, that's a good counter. You know, like, well, you know, yeah.
I suppose I am very different because I do rap in Barnsley. Yeah. I will rap the these and thas and the sithers and everything. It is very unique. I don't sound like every cookie cutter like grime artist because they all sound the same. They've all got the same flows and everything. But for me, it's important for me if I'm doing rap to keep it in that Barnsley dialect because it is original. You know, it sets it sets me aside from everybody else that wants to sound exactly the same.
Yeah. Oh mate, I hope you make this music video. I swear, Dad, I really do. I want to hear this.
Nathan said I should do it, but it's getting the time to do it. That's the issue. But I think if I can get the time to do it, it'll be one of the best things you'll ever watch in your life.
Yes, yes, mate, that would be absolutely amazing. I'd like to say fingers crossed if it happens, dude. I'm all for that. I think that would be amazing. And it's not going to do anything. Like I said, it's just getting eyes on you. It's getting people to know who Rexx Heartless is. You know, like he's not, because that's the thing as well. Obviously, you've kind of got this. You don't want to be pigeonholed in to just being. It's just like I said, a big angry shouty man. You know what I mean? You want to be able to. You want promoters to know. Right, no, he's more than that. You know, he's Mr. Diversity. You know, he can do this or he can do that, and that's just again, like we was on about with the Luchador thing earlier. It's just another string to your bow. You know, it's something else where you could be like, you don't want this guy. Well, how about this guy, but with this as well? And like, oh, okay, we can use that.
Yeah, I am starting 1-to-1 sessions as of July, so I'm hoping to polish a lot of my tech stuff up to bring that extra level to what I can do, and just getting a bit more one-on-one time to polish up these little rough edges and everything to make me a bit sharper. For example, I've had a couple of matches that will never see the light of day, thankfully, when something's gone to shit and I've not known how to handle it. So I'm stepping into these one-to-one sessions to kind of find my way how to navigate through these situations that I've not been able to in past. It makes sense for me to do that now. Now I'm getting eyes on and I'm getting bookings. I kind of need them rough edges smoothing. So going forward, I'll be focusing on stuff like that.
You want to fine tune the sort of the like sort of said, just this bit and that bit, just to make it more of a polished final sort of
absolutely.
Item. It's just the finished item kind of thing. Well, I don't think any wrestler is ever the finished item because
no. You're always learning. There's always something new to learn. Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, because again, it's just stuff like that comes with experience. I know, like in any job, like if I'm doing whatever I'm doing, or if I make a mistake, I've always got that brief moment of being like, oh shit, what do I do? How do I tidy this up? What I do? How can I wing it so this doesn't really matter or people don't know?
Yeah.
Again, that's so much in wrestling, but you've got to have the confidence to be like, well, okay, I've messed up. Well, if I don't act like I've messed up, maybe nobody else is going to know, and it's just being able to crack on with it, isn't it? It's just being able to like,
right. Don't let the crowd see your face. Don't tell the crowd that you fucked up. Yeah. I've been guilty of that a couple of times.
Yeah, don't do something just be like, oh fuck no. We're good.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times, but it's been on in-house shows, and that's the place to make them mistakes.
I think that's where you learn. It's like, but yeah, because obviously as fans, we're none the wise. I know it sounds weird, but think of us as idiots. We don't know. If you mess up, we're none the wiser. It's only you that knows that you messed up or your opponent. You just be like, right, crack on. But again, I suppose that kind of comes down to, again, stuff that I hear. It's the things that you do between the moves as well that matters a lot, which is the thing that kind of people need to. That's what they learn afterwards. You learn the foundations, you learn the technical side, all that kind of sort of stuff. But it's the stuff that you do in between the moves that takes a lot more learning. It's weird as that sounds.
Absolutely. We're always trained in the mindset of this is the way I think of it more since it's been brought to my attention. Do a move, hear a commentator saying, oh, look at this move he's just done. He's not. Oh, look how hurt he is. Thinking in your head, what's commentator saying about this? Because if you're going bang, 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 commentator can't put anything over. You can't sell it, So I always give me saying, what would commentator be saying, or a count to 5 before moving on to the next thing. And it also helps you to slow your match down, get your brain back in gear to think, right, where are we going next?
That's genius. I think I spoke to Brad Matthews. He was on about being, I think it was when he was out injured, I want to say for about 8 or 9 months, he was doing a lot of commentary whilst he was out. And he sort of said that helped him no end because he was kind of sat there, commentating on stuff. And he realised how quickly some people go from move to move to move. Like I said, as a commentator, it was just like, he struggled to get certain things said, or he couldn't put stuff over. He couldn't tell the story. But as a wrestler, from learning that, like you sort of said, he realised, shit, take a few more seconds.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's not just the commentators; it's the fans as well. I'm a fucker for it. I might be commentating in my head. I'll be like, oh shit, look at that move. And then you're doing another thing. I'm like, oh shit. It's like, 2 or 3 seconds, it just makes the world of difference.
But even just like a facial expression after you've done a move, Regal and Jericho are so good at them tiny little things, and Eddie Guerrero, there's some tiny little things that you never think about that sell it so much more. They don't even have to do anything. It just pulling a face, it's just a grimace, and it gets everything over so much. But obviously on these independent shows, you haven't got the beauty of a camera outside you, so these people at back can't really see them facial expressions.
No, but like I said, the more and more you get out there, when the radius of the bookings expand, that's like we said earlier, with like YouTube and stuff, so many more places now, so many more promotions are filming everything to either put on YouTube or to put on the Facebook or to put on their Instagram and stuff like that. So no matter where you are, you kind of got to, I presume you kind of got to get in that habit of just, like I said, doing those facial expressions, doing those little moments, just on the off chance that they are going to get caught, because if you're doing them in a place without a camera, you'll remember to do them at a place with a camera.
Yeah. Keeping it drilled in, like as a constant routine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, you said Eddie Guerrero there. I've always sort of said he's one of the prime examples of, we talked about it before, working face or heel. For me, working face or heel isn't about what you do. It's what you do after. Like, you could do something really heelish, but if you smile at the audience or give the audience a little cheeky wink, then it's no longer a heel thing, it's a face thing, which is what Eddie did so well.
He's a perfect example. Him and Stone Cold, that no matter what you do, you can still be loved. No matter how dirty you are, no matter what cheap tricks you pull, you can still be loved. Perfect example.
You just look at the audience, give them a little smile, and the audience are like, "Oh, you."
Just a little shoulder check. Yeah, there we go. My guy. Yeah.
I see what you did there. So yeah, dude, it's just like, it's just crazy. So it's just, again, it's why I like talking to you guys, because I'm looking at it from this side. I hear your guys' side of it, and it's just so complicated. So many cogs to machine for what you guys have to learn and memorize, and it's crazy, mate. It blows my mind. So that's why I like to hype you guys up, because I just think what what you're doing is amazing.
Yeah, it was very eye-opening when I first started training. All the psychology and everything like that, just these tiny little things that never even thought about. Like, oh, this is nuts. This is not just somebody taking or giving a body slam. It's so much deeper than that. And every time I show somebody one of my matches, they're like, "What you stopping there for? Just stay on him." No. Psychology. But yeah, it was really eye-opening, because all these little psychology moments and all these little tiny little pauses, these little steps, and the footwork, just like the footwork, the minimal footwork, that if you watch somebody like a Benoit, Malenko, or like even in England, a Rampage Brown, little movement, the little how do I say this? The smaller the movement, the more proficiency.
Yeah,
it looks so much smoother just with these little couple of steps. Like, I'm so guilty of having happy feet, doing moves and doing run spots. Stuff like that just makes everything look so much crisper, so much cleaner.
Well, that's the fine tuning that you was on about before, dude. That's what you'll pick up. Like sort of said, the thing is, at least you're kind of acknowledging. It's like, right, you've booked in these one-to-one sessions. You're doing this and you're doing that to improve yourself. To like sort of just to fine tune these little rough edges. Like they're taking these couple of steps here and there, mate. Yeah, it's just gonna be so much better, and you're gonna be able to look back on stuff and be like, yeah, mate, that's fucking smooth. I am that good.
Yeah. I'd like to get some bigger bookings. My number one goal is left bank. I want to wrestle in left bank. Before I retire, I want to wrestle in left bank, because that venue is stunning, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get there. If I never get any farther than that, I'll be happy. I just want to wrestle in left bank.
Oh, Rexx Heartless at the True Grit Rumble, January 2026.
Well, my inbox is always open.
The stars.
My inbox is always open.
JT's going to shout at me now. So, will you stop trying to fucking fancy book my show? I'm a fucker for it. I do it all the time. I'm like, mate, imagine this person. I want to see Quintessential at True Grit. I want to see this. I want to see that. I want to see Rexx Heartless. Oh, Rexx Heartless. Oh, man, that'd be amazing. Rexx Heartless versus Big T. Oh, dude. Rexx Heartless versus Mega Calibre. Be amazing.
Oh, yeah. Mega Calibre and Ron Mastrio. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh, dude. Match of the year contender. Boss. Great. 5-star classic masterpiece.
Yeah.
Forget the pure grit rules. That's pure wrestling right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be down for that 100%.
Oh, mate, that's just, I'm not going to be able to top that in my head now. I think that's pretty much me done now. I'm going to be like, I've reached that point of just overexcited, but I'm just like, yes, that'd be awesome. Dude, thank you so much for just, sitting there and talking wrestling, to me, with me. Anything you want to big up or shout out before we start wrapping up?
I'll shout out yourself for giving people like me a platform. You're an absolute star. Wrestling Jeebus, obviously, bringing a lot of these indie shows to eyes that wouldn't necessarily see it. Shout out to Kama Promotions, 8th of August, wrestling Callum Andrews. Going to be an absolute barnstormer. 15th of August, New Lodge, Super Pro Wrestling against Madden. The final, last man standing match. Shout out to Liam and Nathan. Nathan and his tiny calves. Obviously for opening facility. Liam for being an absolutely fantastic mind and a fountain of knowledge. Absolutely amazing stuff.
Yes, dude. Oh, mate, that match against Callum, that's going to be, like I say, an absolute. I'm looking forward to, because again, I know Callum's, a technical wizard, Mr. Inspired by Kurt Angle and all those, he's got to sort of try and bend you, take you down, keep you grounded.
He's got some big moves as well, so I think the back end of that is going to be a bit insane. When I won the belt, the promoter came. I said, "Who do you want to face next?" Callum Andrews. First person I thought at Callum Andrews. I want Callum Andrews because I also think he deserves to be on more shows because he's fantastic. I think everybody should be booking Callum.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. He's somebody else. That's the thing, I get to speak to a lot of you guys, and I'm just like, I try to big everybody up. Sometimes I forget about people, or sometimes just there's not enough hours in the day to celebrate all the awesomeness. But Callum is definitely one of those names that's at the top of that list where I was just like,
Callum could have a match with a 1 centimeter piece of cotton and make it a 5-star match. He's amazing. I love Callum, even as a person.
Again, that's the thing. I haven't spoken to. That's why I always get really excited as well. Speaking to you guys from Pursuit, is you've all just kind of got that sort of support. You're very open to having a conversation. You've got that enthusiasm for wrestling, but you're just a lovely bunch of people. And again, I don't know. I can only imagine like when you go to training, as awesome as it is to do the wrestling stuff, learn the wrestling stuff. You also get to hang around with a group of people that just make you smile.
Yeah, I love PPW. There's no egos, there's no knobheads. Everybody's in the same boat together. Everybody's a misfit, and when you come through that door, our outside world just doesn't exist. You can be who you want to be, and nobody will judge you for it, which I think's an amazing thing. Because like we get people that come down neurodivergent and all this, and people who are really shy and people who are struggling mentally. As soon as they come through that door, that the whole world just shuts off, and you're in that character, you're that different person, and nothing else matters. Yeah. Nothing else matters.
That's it. I love that shit. That shit just makes me smile. But mate, thank you so much for just coming along and chatting with me for an hour, and I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I loved it, mate. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Let people know where they can find you on Insta to keep an eye on future shows and bookings and reels and stuff.
Facebook is Rexx Heartless. Instagram, I've wrote this one down. Instagram is Rexx_Heartless_PW.
That's one. Obviously, we'll tag you in it as well when my boy Ash posts on Insta to let people know the episode is up. If you're not following Rexx, please do so. Hit him up on Instagram, see what he's been up to, see what shows he's got coming up. If you're able to get to the show, go. Support your local promotion, buy tickets, go have some fun. And as always, I'll say thank you for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, comment, all the generic stuff. We'll see you again very soon. I've just remembered. Right, okay, so the next episode is I will be talking to the regime. So
swines.
Not just one of them, mate. I've got Franco, Brad, and Sash. So I'm going to be getting called a doctor in a hoe bag for an hour straight. I'm just kind of sat here. I'm like, why have I done this to myself? But it is what it is. People will probably want to see it. They want to hear what those guys have got to say. So join us next week when I am joined by the regime, and on a lighter note, Mr. Joe Cedric. So we'll see you again very, very soon. Remember, always work the left side. Goodbye.
Thanks, buddy.